When I first got the idea for 92 Nights, it was during the time when, as a travel company owner, business was basically non-existent because if my clients can't travel, my business can't earn revenue. And so it was just kind of a time when I know I'm not, if you're a business owner, you may have went through something similar, when there was a lot of uncertainty. I wanted to start in a city where you don't typically think Black owned when you think of going to Oregon, and so when I chose Portland as the first city to kick it off with, it's also because Portland is one of my favorite cities, but then Portland has some phenomenal Black businesses. And so, hopefully this project encourages people to start traveling again, even if it's domestic, but to kind of also travel more intentionally with pouring into businesses with owners that may look like you. At a random New Year's Eve pool party in Vegas, I ended up meeting my now friend, a girl named Zayjon. Just so happens she lives in Portland. There are some people that God brings into your life, and you don't see him coming, but he sends you what you need when you need it. Looking for good Black-owned wineries, I'm on this thing. The winery I went to down here, Abbey Creek Winery, it's Black-owned. It all started from a text message conversation. In the midst of COVID, when all client travels had been delayed or canceled, Travels by Tonia decided to embark on a domestic tour highlighting travel during COVID and phenomenal Black businesses that we captured along the way. Our journey would start in Portland. Here we go.
I got here because of tragedy. It wasn't because I loved wine and I'm I moved to the West Coast to do the wine thing. You'll see a picture of Pops, it's on the wall there, right there on the top. But my dad passed in 2007. So from New York, I went to school in North Carolina, Florida. In 99, I was like, I'm going west. I'm going to Cali. I had no idea where in California. I just knew I was going to Cali. But ended up in Oregon first. I used to work for anesthesiology at the teaching hospital. I was an anesthesia assistant. But, and life was good. Had money, had stuff. But it wasn't until my father passed that the feelings of fulfillment or lack of fulfillment were there. I felt I wasn't living up to my father's legacy. And when I say that, meaning my dad, coming from Haiti to the United States, didn't speak the language, didn't have a degree. White folks called them boat people. Black Americans would call him Uncle Tom. And even his fellow Haitians, they shunned him because they thought he made it and wasn't giving back. So a long time ago, my dad decided to own who he was. He just kind of did things for himself and his family. And I felt that I was living life too safe, too easy. So I quit my day job. The opportunity now was the property that I own, I bought from my in-laws, happened to have 5 acres of grapes on there already. And I didn't even drink. I was a wannabe athlete all my life. So I was looking around, I'm gonna make wine. My plan B was I was gonna make raisins if it didn't work out. But again, I laugh now because you can't make raisins with grape wines, but it was just how disconnected from the idea of wine I was. I was just like, boom, I'm just gonna do me, and whenever I feel like it's not fulfilling enough, I'll do something else. But no, it's been 13 years now, and that's how I got into the industry. And I still didn't, become the industry until recently, about 5 years. But early on, the industry to me made no sense. The industry term or motto is, in order to make a small fortune, you start with a large one. That just means, you're just making it rain. You're just a hobby. And again, from BK, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. I did attempt to follow the path that everyone else was doing, wines in stores, wines in restaurants. But again, like I said, it just didn't make a financial sense. And I didn't want to put my brand in anybody's hands. So instead of making tons of wines and trying to have everybody explain to them how to brand me, we make less wine and I do it myself. Customers would be coming in and ask, who's the winemaker? When I say me, I get kind of a glance and, well, you don't have a vineyard, do you? Yeah, I've got 50 acres, on Germantown Road. Well, how? You know, and it's not necessarily that they were being malicious. It's just the fact that the industry said I didn't look the part. Any wine magazine you open, any commercials, what do you see? Not me.
You're a unicorn.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, no, you know, hipsters in the field with a picnic basket. It wasn't me. COVID-19 was digging in my pockets from day one because the first thing they did was shut everything down. And I think the hard part about Corona, it told you what not to do, but it didn't leave you with any ideas of what to do. So people were just in this limbo. So literally, we started losing 75% of our, monthly income because it was tastings. The beauty about the spot, it was the fact of coming, engaging, breaking bread. We host brunches and dinners. We couldn't do those anymore. Now, since we're able to do to-go wines, that definitely has helped us bolster a little bit. We've been able to do some bottles to go. We have wine on tap, which I'm like the hood milkman. Something about the crisis, I think, because it feels very nostalgic, like old school. Here's my bottles, let me refill them. People actually started buying more of those because even though they couldn't hang out, it gave them that, at least we can go in there, swap our bottles, and get back home. So it gave you just a little bit of, I need some contact, I need to see some faces. So now you think about, do I want to hang out with this person? Are they worthy? This is COVID times. If I'm doing this calculated risk, who am I going to go kick it with? And it makes you cherish. It makes you cherish those relationships, I think, definitely. Yeah. But my most impactful line is, it's great that I'm the first, but it's more important that I'm not the last. It's always bigger than the wine for me. But there was a alternative high school that I met them at a small farm conference. I met the kids and one of the instructors, and we talked about, having the kids come out to the vineyard. So again, it's not like we're busing them and taking them to the country just to see, what vineyards look like. And I know tons of people, go talk at them all the time because it's alternative high school. We're going to talk about how screwed up you guys are, and this is what. I just brought them out and we just had them start working. And they were with me all the way from February all the way to October. Actually helped me pick the fruit, helped me process and everything. But I felt like it was a job because they were high schoolers. I couldn't give them anything. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna make some Pinot Noir juice. So literally, and what most people don't realize, all wine has to be juice first. And the quality of that juice matters. I can't make great wine with crappy juice, but we decided we did 300 gallons of Pinot Noir juice so the kids can actually see all of those steps that we went through in the vineyard. This was the end result here as well, and then we have it on tap. So again, that communal sort of come back, fill up your wine growler with your juice.
I used a little bit in college, and I had high-risk pregnancies with my children. And so I suffered from something called hyperemesis. Okay. And basically what that is a severe form of vomiting. So I had to be hospitalized twice, and I was nauseous all the time. Okay. I lost weight instead of gaining weight. And so it was then that I really started trying to look for other ways to treat nausea. And cannabis was brought up. But of course, I'm like, I don't think I can use that. And so it was conflicting information out there. And so I spoke to my doctor about it, and they were adamant. If you use, we're going to drop you as a patient. It's a possibility DFS could be called. And so I made the decision not to use. I ended up getting on prescription drugs. With my first pregnancy, it was Zofran, and with my second one, it was Cyclegis. And after my first pregnancy, about 3 or 4 years later, they sent out this notice that any moms who use Zofran while pregnant and your child has a birth defect, please contact this number. Fortunately, both of my babies are healthy, but it got me to thinking, what if I would have used cannabis? And so then that led to a conversation with me and my husband about there's not enough research out there. this market is booming and there's no Black or female representation on a grand scale. And so I was like, okay, this is what we need to do, because it's more important for me to get into destigmatizing use, especially among Black women, and also trying to get into the research portion of it. There's just not enough research. We don't know what the impact is to nursing, lactating moms, or pregnant moms, or there's just not enough research out there, because like I said, my husband had an accident and he was on all kinds of pain meds, and I'm like, easy, he wasn't a smoker at all. Like that just wasn't his thing. He was an athlete, and he's a Southern guy, and you're not supposed to do drugs, and that was his mentality. He was in so much pain, and he was resistant for a long time. And then when we went out to Portland, and like he was like, oh,
this is what I've been missing.
Yeah, this is better than. But for me, it was more about like mental health. It was more about nausea, pain. That's what I've been focused on in my lane, and he does it in his in a different capacity. But it's really important for me to speak with moms specifically. I did a whole motherhood series on it. I interviewed women who used while they were pregnant, like brilliant children. I've talked to women who have used while they were lactating. It's a passion of mine, because as moms, especially as Black mothers, I'm not knocking any other type of mom, but as Black moms, we deal with a lot. It's a lot to be a Black mom. We have health disparities in our communities. There's all sorts of things that we're dealing with, and it's so commonplace to be like, let's go to a wine bar, let's go have a happy hour and a cocktail. And alcohol is a definite poison. It's a toxin. It does more damage than cannabis could ever do. But it's so normalized, and I want us to get to a place where cannabis use is normalized as well. I hate to say this, because obviously we're in a pandemic, but it helped our business greatly. Mainly because they declared it as essential business, so I didn't have to shut down. And then we offered delivery and pickup services, so people were able to still adhere to social distancing. I was able to protect our employees. We were able to protect our employees by having them masked and gloves, and they were able to deliver product to people's doors, or people could do curbside pickup if they wanted to, so they could place their order online and come pick it up. So for us, it was a blessing in disguise.
Trap Kitchen was started in Compton, California by Malachi Jenkins and Roberto Smith. They're both my brothers, and they started in Compton. Spank decided to get into the food truck scene. We felt like Portland was one of the most popping cities for the culinary experience.
Yeah, it had a growing food scene. The food truck scene and environment was growing, so it was a perfect place to start, and especially with how popular Trap Kitchen was, it was a perfect place to try it. So Mikey partnered with Spank, and they came to Portland Truck, which has been doing amazing.
COVID didn't really, COVID doubled business for us. Like, for us it was different. We had to hop on the front line and supply the people when you weren't able to go nowhere and get food. We were open. We kept our doors open. We just adjusted to the way, for sure, appreciate you. We just adjusted to the way things were and just kept moving forward with it. But for us, it didn't hurt us, it helped us.
And we've been able to do stuff like partnering with Amine, CJ McCullum to feed the people. So through those partnerships, we've been able to feed probably over 600 people for free,
Yeah.
So that's been the lovely part of it. So basically through the collaborations with CJ and Amine, we've been able to raise money to donate to Thurgood Marshall College Fund, Campaign Zero, Self-Enhancement Inc., which is a youth program here in Portland, which directly services the Black community, as well as North by Northeast Health Clinic, because that's another clinic that services the black community and population. So we try to use everything we're doing to give back, even in terms of like people we work with, how Mikey brings in people to work at the trap. You know, it's directly related everything to the community. So that's one of the big parts about Trap Kitchen, and even in California with Spank and News, it's all a community effort and essentially like a family, man. So that's how we try to build everything. So,
and I think with the COVID, it's sort of what we already been doing before the COVID is feeding the streets and feeding our people. So it just gave us an opportunity to do what we already been doing, and for others to see what we're doing. You know, they're just starting to see how wrong it's been, and people that have been moving wrong are already trying to correct their ways. And you know, so I mean, I see change coming, a little bit of change.
Because I think people have been able to be tolerant and sweep a lot of things under the rug of injustice and racism. And coming from Portland, like you said, it's not a lot of us out here, and our community's been separated. So a few of the incidents that have happened over these recent times bring light to that. Racism has been alive and well, and injustice and bias has been, especially towards a group of people, which happen to be black people, and it's been long standing. So this is definitely spotlighting that, and it's also helping bring light to businesses like Trap Kitchen and others that deserve it, because you know we out here working hard, and the light deserves to be shined on that fact in terms of things need to be fixed and corrected.